Hello! So today we're going to do something similar to what we did when we mixed our tints and shades. We're going to do a bit of experimenting. So you're going to need some paper, your visual journal, your paints, your watercolor paint sets, and markers. I'm only using markers of the primary colors right now. Pencil crayons, primary colors only. I got a sharpener for my pencil crayons. And I like to use pastels or crayons as well. So you're just gonna go gather materials to play around with, and we only need the primary colors for today. So we're only using our yellow, blue, and red of the different materials that we're finding. So we're gonna do kind of an experiment to figure out what happens when we mix those colors. So a couple weeks ago, we learned that we can mix colors with white or black, and we can do this in a bunch of different ways. We can mix the paints together, we can do cross-hatching or hatching, or we can layer the colors, or we can do optical mixing, which is where we do a bunch of dots of both colors and they mix together. So I'm gonna try all of those techniques, but I'm gonna mix two different primary colors together each time. So this time I'm gonna use yellow and blue. I'm gonna mix together yellow and blue and see what color I get. So what I've done here is I've put a puddle of water, 2 puddles of water actually, on my palette. And I am putting some yellow paint into my first puddle. And it's a little bit yucky. My yellow paint has a little bit of, other colors mixed into it. That's all right. And so I've made a yellow wash and I've painted a little area on my page of yellow. So what I'm going to try here is I'm going to try mixing these two colors together on my paper. So I've painted my little square of yellow. I'm just going to let it dry for a second. So now I'm just mixing them on my palette so that I can give my little area of yellow I've painted some time. So you can experiment with adding different amounts. So I've made a third puddle where I've added both yellow and blue paints. So now I've got kind of a bluish, greenish color, and I can try adding a bit more yellow. I can try adding a bit more blue. You'll notice that you're getting a different kind of green depending on how much yellow you have and how much blue you have. It's also interesting because colors, as you guys have been learning, colors have secrets, right? So yellow, the color yellow is a little bit of, I don't know how else to describe this, but it's a little bit of a weaker color. If I mix yellow in with another stronger color like blue, the yellow kind of gets a little bit disappeared. So when I'm trying to mix colors with yellow, I want to make sure that I start out with the yellow, a lot of the yellow, and then I add tiny bits of the other color that I want to mix into it. So I can add some tiny bits of blue or I can add some tiny bits of red. So as you can see, I've just layered a little square of blue on top of my yellow area, and I can see that where the two squares overlap, I'm getting a little bit of green. All right, so now I'm just gonna attempt to do some of the other techniques that I tried last time I was mixing colors with white and black. So I'll try layering with my pastels, and I will try doing optical mixing, and I'll try cross-hatching, and anything else that you can think of, you try that. So maybe that means layering some pastels with paint or some pastels on top of paint. I want you to try to have some things to share about what you thought worked really well for mixing and what didn't work so well. So try all of the different materials that you have and just see what works best. So I'm gonna speed up this video now, but that's what I'm doing, is I'm just having fun and practicing and playing. And right now I'm mixing only yellow and blue to make green, seeing what kinds of greens I can create. Okay, so now I'm going to try to mix some different colors together. So I've tried blue and yellow together. Now I want to try yellow and red together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a paper towel and I'm going to wipe out all these paints in my palette and I'm going to start over. All right, so just absorb all those paints out of there. And I will start by making 2 puddles of water so that I can add yellow and red to those. So we'll make 1 puddle, make another puddle. Okay, and I'll dip into my palette and add some paints to those puddles. Okay, so I've got both my yellow and my red, and I'm just going to make a 3rd puddle where I mix them both together. And again, remember what I said about the yellow being a little bit of a weaker color. It gets overpowered easily by other colors, so I'm soaking up as much yellow from my puddle as possible to mix in there so that I get an orange that's has both yellow and orange. Or sorry, both yellow and red in there. If you're finding that your orange is looking a little bit too red, then just add a bit more yellow. So, all right, so I want to try that same layering technique that I did with the green and the yellow. So I'm going to paint a little square of yellow, and then I will dry my brush off, and I'll paint a little square of red. And you can let those dry, the yellow dry in between if you like. I'm just gonna see what happens if I don't let it dry. Also, if you're finding that your colors are really, really light and you want them to be a bit more vibrant or darker, that's because maybe you have a bit too much water or you haven't added enough paint to your water puddles. So if you want your colors to be a bit more vibrant and brighter, just add a bit more paint to your puddles on your palette there. All right, so I'm gonna wipe those colors out and I'm gonna try with blue and red now. So I'm just gonna repeat exactly the same process that I did earlier. So I'm gonna make 2 puddles, I will add some red paint to one and I will add some blue paint to the other, and then I will mix to see what color I get. For red and blue, both red and blue are quite strong for colors, so you don't necessarily have to worry as much about one color overpowering the other one. But I do find that mixing purple with blue and red is one of the most difficult colors. A lot of times it ends up turning brown. And that just depends, I guess, on what kind of red and what kind of blue you're mixing in. So just do your best to make it look like a violet color. It might end up looking a little bit brownish, but that's probably okay. So it might look, what I'm saying here is that it might look a little bit different from the purple paint that you have in your watercolor palette, or let's say a purple marker or something like that. But it's still quite a beautiful color of purple, even though it is a little bit more brownish. So now I'll try to do the layering technique that I tried with all the other colors. So I'll do a little area of blue and I'll wash off my brush and dry it, and then I'll try a little area of red and I'll see where they overlap if I get purple. So that is all. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have fun experimenting and trying out different ways of mixing colors.